And it's this sort of behaviour from people that are hashtagging be kind, but then are pushing people to commit suicide. Do you know what I mean? You know, why would you hate on somebody when you don't know the story?
Yeah.
You know
what were the claims? The claims were controlling. What else were it?
Controlling, narcissistic freak, bully. If you've experienced and understood you're allowed to feel, this is what I say when I say you're allowed to feel. It's like allowing the body to do its thing. What a massive lesson.
What are you thinking when you watch them back then? So
it's difficult.
First time you watch it back, are you sat there just thinking, fuck?
I've been portrayed as an absolute villain. That's absolutely fine. You know, it's I guess every show needs a villain, really, don't they? I'm not blaming the industry at all because it was the steroid abuse at the time as well, but combined, I was raving a lot, taking loads of drugs, listening to loads of techno, you know, and it was a big ball of everything. I got to the point where I was like, I don't even want to be here anymore. Like, I can't be in this physical vessel anymore.
When you get that message, that call, do you want to come married at first sight? What's convinced you to say yeah?
You seem a bit like me. You were fucking high energy,
bro. Extremely.
Yeah.
It's hard to contain sometimes. You know what I mean?
Diagnosed high energy.
Well, mate, you could have easily been diagnosed high energy by myself. He did the morning mindset, and I'd not used the headphones, and so I provide the guided meditation on there. You know, it's like practices within the morning to be accountable for, whether it be cold water therapy, meditation, yoga, exercise, and you log it. And I was doing my guided meditation sessions within the mic, but I hadn't heard myself within the headphones. So then when I'd put these on, I was like...
Had to get used to a little bit.
The whole world just stopped for a second, and I was like, this is crazy.
So, Brad, you just talked about meditation.
Yes.
When did all that come in? Because when we knew each other, when we used to go out partying, doing whatever young lads would do, and then it seemed to switch up quite quick from that young party lifestyle to spiritual, which I am actually very similar now. I don't do it as a profession. I don't push it as much, but I do it every single day.
Good man.
Meditating, breath work, try and do an ice bath every single day. Like, where did it all come from for you?
So for me, depression, anxieties, you know, I think when you are thrown or thrusted into like a fast-paced industry, whether it be modeling, whether it be all of this social media aspect or whatever it is, like me and you were sort of thrusted into it at the same time, weren't we? Mm-hmm. And I know, I mean, I was young, I was 18 and I was working in a fish factory in Grimsby, and I was literally getting like £200 a week, and half of that was going to my ex, my little boy and everything like that. And life was, but to be honest, there was no pressure in life then. I was plodding along, that's all I knew. And then started at ASOS, modelling, thrust upon this industry, and I was there like 5-6 days a week, like in demand, and then like Boohoo, Foot Asylum, JD, all these companies would come in. And you feel like you can take on the world because it's really ego consuming, massively. And at that age, I wasn't really aware that you could have an unhealthy and a healthy side to an ego at all. And then, as it started to like sort of mold into this monster, like the attention was like, I was really thriving for the attention and becoming a real darker version of myself. And mate, I believe we're all made up of light and dark anyway, so everybody's got it within them. And then, like I was taking steroids heavily at that point, mate, like running a bit of trend tests. I was running always like the D-balls, the oxys, Superdrols, everything.
Firing it all in.
Mate, honestly.
That's like you now.
Yeah.
No, I was though, mate. Like,
I was like that.
Really blasting it. I know at a young age you're thinking, sweet, but obviously the hormone effect, my hormones are becoming imbalanced and then all of a sudden, mate, it's as though like my body, it had too much pressure and I just started to burn out like emotionally, physically and mentally. And I was getting like health anxiety. So I was really, really worried about my health. And that was like manifesting within like physical symptoms. So I'd get like tingly hands and
restless legs a little bit.
Restless legs. I'd get tight chest where if I would breathe in, like I'd take a deep inhale, I would get this shooting pain down my left arm. And I was like, oh, I'm freaking out every day. I'd be getting blood tests, MRI scans on my brain and spine, ECGs on my heart. And it was just a repetitive cycle. But my mindset was like, well, you know, bigger coffin to be buried in. Awful mentality, mate. Shit. Awful. So at that point, it was this just high-paced, fast-rhythmed industry. I'm not blaming the industry at all because it was the steroid abuse at the time as well, but combined, I was raving a lot, taking loads of drugs, listening to loads of techno, you know, and it was a big ball of everything. I got to the point where I was like, I don't even want to be here anymore. Like, I can't be in this physical vessel anymore. And I think a lot of the time, that's where spirituality, let's say, as a concept, because that's subjective, for me, spirituality is about following your truth, not just peace and love, because the world ain't peace and love, really, is it? So I needed an outlet. And instead of sort of seeking for answers externally, which wasn't helping, like I was talking to people, that's fine, but there was this deep-rooted stuff. You have to just delve deep within yourself, don't you? And unwire yourself to what you've conditioned yourself to be and really get real. And that's where meditation come in. I had a friend, he'd messaged me, like, I hadn't seen him since school. And I believed within the universal flow and everything happens for a reason, but not to an extent of, like, this was too much of a big coincidence. So I hadn't spoken to him since school. And at this point, I was pretty suicidal, to be honest with you. He'd popped up the next day and was like, hi, bro, I know we haven't spoken in years. I've started meditating. Would you ever consider coming to a bit of a practice with me? And I was like, my ego was like, are you mad, bro? As if I'm going to be sat there with my legs crossed, breathing. And he was like, what? And the response got me because he went, what other options do you have right now?
So he knew that you're low anyway?
I don't know. This was a random message.
Oh, shit.
I hadn't spoken to him for 7 years. And this just pops up. But when he said that, I felt that. So, and I do believe, you know, like, the things we cannot see are more real. You know, our emotions, our feelings, our consciousness, that's who we are, really, rather than this physical vessel. So I went for a practice. I was like, yeah, all right, why not? I'll give it a go. I ain't got any other option. Next morning, went to the beach, did a 6 a.m. meditation. It was the most powerful experience I've ever had. Like, I cried and cried and cried. And all of this stuff come up. And it was just such a release, man. I was just accepting myself for who I was, allowing it to pass through and just not judging ourselves, because we can judge ourselves easy, can't we? So, yeah, then the journey unfolded from there, really.
To understand, you mentioned ASOS there and this boohoo doing all these photo shoots and whatnot. The steroid use, at that time, was that the look people were looking for? A bit more of a juice, jacked?
Yeah.
I feel that sort of, has that tapered off now? Is that a fair point?
Absolutely, mate. Very fair point. And I think but it's about more of, from my mindset. And obviously, I completely am for everybody doing what they need to do. At that point, it was for external gratification. Small town mentality was that if you had a bit of shape, you know, if people didn't like who you was personally, but you looked sick, that overrode that for some reason.
Yeah, it's almost respected.
Of course it is, mate. Yeah. So I was doing that for that aspect. I wasn't even bodybuilding or anything. So, which is really, really funny when I look back. I think, well, why am I taking this performance enhancement drug and I'm not doing it to the full extent? I'm doing it casually. And yeah, completely consumed by that validation from others when it gets to the point. And, you know, for me, bodybuilding's a temporary thing, you know, or practice. I believe people can do it for a period of time, but they don't do it forever. Either health comes into play or the burnout anyway. I don't, you know, but that's each their own, and obviously never discriminating that because I've done it myself. And then, yeah, gets to that point, bro, where there's a point in life where I think you experience certain tests, traumas and challenges which shift your mindset completely to what's real, to what matters, and external validation all of a sudden just didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel like with the bodybuilding, that it's almost like you're creating a bit of a barrier around you. You get this big, but you're not doing any internal work.
Yeah.
So when you sit and think about it, it's a bit shallow in it almost. Like,
Amen.
Bodybuilding's bodybuilding, but when you start doing the internal work, that's when you start opening up, probably, isn't it?
Yeah, you're dead right, mate. And that is what I do see as well. I have a lot of friends that do it. And, you know, externally the strong, internally the weak. And there's nothing wrong with that because everybody has their moments. But when I address that to them and I'm like, okay, well, what about sitting down and, because I'm a meditation practitioner now, so what about sitting down for a session? They're like, I have all these stresses and problems. I'm like, let's just stop for a second and see what comes through. And they're like, nah, it's like that. You know, I don't want to hear my internal dialogue, but
a lot of people are scared about it, aren't they?
Yeah.
We've got a friend called Tony Womersley. He's an energy healer, and he's done ayahuasca and stuff. I don't know if you've done that.
Yeah, I've done 2 ceremonies, yeah.
Nice. And Tony said that one of the biggest things that he got beat up by when you speak to this ayahuasca woman.
Mother ayahuasca, yeah.
was putting steroids in his body. He was like, that was one of the worst things he did, because he was just doing that purely for ego.
Yeah.
And then since then, he's just like, similar to you, like respected his body, and I
Yeah.
feel like he turned that.
You're dead right, bro. It just brings you into nature. You know what I mean? Like we can be escaping and this is where my life's done a complete cycle, because even the spirituality pursuit, let's say, all you're doing is you're seeking and you're searching to find answers for joy. Ultimately, that's the pursuit, innit? And you can go further and further and further. And obviously, I'll get onto ayahuasca after, but I'd done 2 ceremonies. That was something you do. You know, you maybe read a philosophy book and you're like, brilliant. Come across philosophers like Ram Dass, Alan Watts, and people like that. And you're like, this is amazing. This makes sense. You know, and then you'll start meditating. Brilliant. This is great. You start seeing some mystical things and everything's like shedding of the body and you're like really finding your true self. And then you want to take it further. So you might do a couple of mushrooms or some DMT and you're like, wow, I know the answers, yeah? And then you'll be like, okay, there needs to be more. So then the next thing, you'll go and do ayahuasca. You'll do ayahuasca, you'll think, wow, that's changed my life. I'm healed forever. And then another trauma will come out. So you need to go do something. And then when does the pursuit start? Mm-hmm. When ultimately what people need to understand is what they're actually in pursuit of is the one in pursuit. You know what I mean? They're already there. Like, look at a good friend of mine, Ross. He has a great analogy, and this proper slapped me into shape. It was, think of a cat or a dog, yeah? You're not going to go up to a cat or a dog and go, how spiritually tuned in are you? Or where on your journey are you? Because they just look at you and think, I'm already it. Like, I'm literally existing in this body, doing me or being. And so that's what was a very, very interesting thing to me. Like you said, even with the Mother Ayahuasca, I learned a lot about myself and tools to put in place. But life still continues and you still get tested and you still get challenged. People just think there's this one fixed thing, but it's not. And that was a big eye-opener for me as well.
Do you feel people get lost in that pursuit and then never integrate it? So
100%.
like there, you're always looking for lessons, but like you say there, there's a life to be lived as well.
Oh, bro, I can't stress this enough. I went completely sober. I went vegan for a year, meditating every day, doing every single practice I could that was going to possibly cleanse my body and soul, because I was so indoctrinated by this, obtaining this bliss. You know, if I continue to do all this, I will reach paradise.
Is there a paradise?
We're living it now.
Yeah, you're going to be present.
We're living it. The paradise is also going through these tests. It's going through these struggles, but really feeling them. You know, sitting them and allowing that emotion to run through your veins and go, oh yeah, this is difficult, but I'm knowing this is temporary right now, and I'm feeling it all. The big thing for me was feeling. People definitely get lost. I was one of those people. Seeking and searching, and it was just at that point where I kept coming back round to myself, and I thought, I was meditating and thinking, why aren't I getting a load of these mystical visions that I used to get? Why aren't I getting a lot of these feelings that I used to get? It was just a space of stillness, and I was observing, right? And my mate went, you're already there. And I just couldn't grasp the fact there was no more pursuit. And he was like, you get to a point where you can surpass so much that it brings you straight back to yourself. And it makes you realise getting up, you know, having a breath of fresh air, enjoying that coffee, going to take kids to school, going to work, these things that you came to the human physical body to do, doing fully, you know, because people always try and leave the body. I'll do this DMT and I'll leave my body and I'll do it again and again and again. But let's just say whatever your preference, your soul or your spirit or your energy, whether it be religious, scientific or spiritual, came into this physical vessel to experience the human life. So how much more of that can you do rather than you doing it? You don't need to leave it. Just do what we're doing right now. Conversing. You know what I mean?
So what is the reason behind doing DMT and ayahuasca? Is it to just get rid of past trauma, come back to this paradise that we're living in right now and just work on the things that you're getting rid of?
Yeah, I love that you said that, this paradise right now, because it's so true. I went, it's very, very, I was petrified initially. Like I'd heard of ayahuasca so much, and I was thinking, like, I've heard so many people do it. You know, I was reading Will Smith when he did it, like Jim Carrey when he did it, Kevin Hart, and all of these big names. I was thinking, all my days, this is absolutely bonkers. And I was never really, really ready until I'd sort of fallen into this like flatness, like this numbness. I just didn't really get a lot of anything. So I was like, I went to I don't know if you know, you've heard of Cambo
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd gone to a Cambo ceremony. It's funny, this guy, my practitioner, Joe, he'd popped up on Instagram and he was like, "Hiya, mate, I've seen your profile. I've seen you doing a lot of self-work. Would you come to a Cambo ceremony?" And I was like, "Can you point me in the direction of ayahuasca?" And he was like, "Let's try Cambo first." Of course
Slow
I can.
down,
yeah.
boy.
Exactly, mate. Do you know what I mean? I was like a million miles an hour. And he was like, "Come to Cambo, you know, working with the great giant Cambo frog is very powerful medicine. You know, you do 3 medicines. You do the Sananga eye drops, which in the Amazon used to eradicate any ocular diseases like cataracts builds up and stuff like that. You then do some hape.
Is that, sorry to interrupt, is that where you go blind for a little bit?
Well, it's an eye drop, right? You lay on the floor and he's like, "Close your eyes." You close your eyes and he'll drop the eye drop on your eye. And he says, "When I say open, all open your eyes and let the serum fall in." I kid you not. It is possibly the most painful experience I have ever physically endured in my life. You open your eyes and you're like, and it is like stinging and burning, and you've got to blink around to get it in and look left and right. But afterwards, it's not even just a physical clarity. Like, the mental clarity is insane. You know, a lot of the fogginess I had before, I was instantly clear. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew where I wanted to be.
What's it doing then? Is it just loading your body with serotonin? What's that clean, cleansed feeling?
Well, what I think it is a lot of the Cambo medicines, and especially the same with ayahuasca, we can hold a lot of toxins within our bloodstream, liver, kidneys, gut, biome, and everything like intestines over the years through whether it be alcohol, drugs, partying, fast food, salts, whatever, that lay dormant, and sometimes we never really clear them out. So a lot of this is a physical cleanse. It goes into your system, cleans you out, and you do a lot of purging, man. Like, a lot of purging. And that's what's really cleaning it out. And, you know, when you've got a healthy gut, you've got a healthy mind. And, you know, when your bloodstream's clean and healthy, everything else is. And it's like a domino effect of then you start to feel this clarity and you can see clearly, things like that. Then you do something called rapé or hape.
Yeah, we've tried
We've
that.
done it.
I love hape, to be honest.
That cleans the brain, doesn't it? Yeah. Make your eyes water.
Yeah, completely, mate. Blast a bit of happy in, you know, it's good as well because it really brings you, I think trauma or difficulties bring you so present. You don't really get all the times where you're completely battling for your life and you need to be present. And then Cambo, he'll burn the gates, he'll burn this metal prod, put some, whether it be down your chest or your shoulder, opening the flesh, and then put the frog poison on. The frog poison.
For people who have no idea, it just sounds madness, doesn't it?
It does sound absolutely bonkers, like as if I'm going to sit there with frog poison wax on my flesh.
Yeah, I always think, who the fuck figured that out?
But this is the interesting thing, like who within the Amazon one day. But this is why I think there's a lot more connection within nature and people that haven't got distractions with technology.
Yeah.
They're there. They've just got the lessons of nature. You know what I mean? So I did the Cambo, and then awful. Wanted to do it straight away again after. It has a tendency to do that. These sort of
How
stuff.
long does that last?
Cambo lasts for 20 minutes. You leave the wax on for 20 minutes, and it's just like this cold burn that goes in, and you just feel ill. Have you ever had food poisoning?
Yeah.
It's that feeling. Awful, and you're just wrenching. And like,
what's going on in your mind?
get this off me.
Is it?
Yeah, but like I don't want it. But then this is where it's good to really focusing on the breath. Understandably, mate, the breath is us in it. It's if we can tune into that, nothing else really distracts us.
Yeah.
So yeah, throwing up, doing a lot, felt unbelievable after. And then he went, "Okay, so you ready for ayahuasca then?" And I was like thinking, I'd gone and told him I was ready, thinking that he'd be like, nah. That was my safety net. Then when he went, "You're ready," I was like, "Oh, I don't know, actually."
Did he want you to do it there and then, though?
No. So there was a ceremony being held in Snowdonia for the weekend, a retreat the following weekend.
Nice.
So I did the Cambo on the Friday. He was like, "It's next Friday." And I was thinking, oh, the universe is just opening these gateways. But I've obviously admitted out there that I'm ready. So it's just gone, well, there you go then. And the same other ayahuasca comes to you when you're ready. So I was absolutely bricking it. But, you know, you go down, there's like, it's just beautiful, like this big ceremony hall, waterfalls, lakes. You go in and you take your own bed in and stuff like that. And there's like a big altar in the middle with like crystals, sacred possessions, eagle feathers, things like that. And then you've got the shamans sat at the top, like real native feathered headgear. Mate, it's powerful stuff. And you go in and you have a load of energy healers there that are there to help you. And you go in and you sit there and they go, "Okay, whenever you're ready," like they do a bit of a ceremony and the fire's burning and that. And then they'll go, "Okay, whenever you're ready, come and you can have your cup." And it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like this thick, dark purple liquid. Have you ever seen Black Panther?
I know what it is, but I've never seen it.
On the Black Panther films, they drink this purple liquid, which is the liquid of the ancestors or the vine of the dead. So you go up, you have it, and it's horrible. It's like sour licorice and Bovril mixed, right?
Nice.
How will they determine how much you drink?
So it's a shot.
Right.
You have a shot, but it's hot, mate. It's horrible. And you basically go and sit and just wait. And there's music being played and the drums being banged. And I like to do a lot of internal work. So I'll take an eye mask. So I'll put an eye mask on and I'll just sit in silence. Because I think I'm getting most of my messages internally. So, you can watch what's going on and stuff, and that's great. But yeah. Anyway, within an hour, people were throwing up around me, and I was looking around thinking, oh, my days, it's got to happen soon. And it wasn't, and I was so impatient, and it was such a lack of intelligence of me, and like an immature mind to just want more and more until I get this blast of an experience. But so I went up for another cup, and he was like, you don't need another cup. And I was like, please, I'm ready. And he's like, all right, so he gave me another cup. Within 10 minutes, man.
Blast off.
Honestly, my physical vessel just like fell back. And it's as though I had this real strong pull in my pineal gland. And like, it's as though my energetic form just pulled itself out my physical vessel. And I was sucked into this white tunnel. And as I was in this white tunnel, because I wanted to feel love again, because I didn't feel love in a while. And I was in this white tunnel. When I was in this white tunnel, my mum was one side, my dad was the other side, and my son was the other side. So that would have been love to me. That would have been my representation of love. And we was walking, and I started to feel this warm butterfly feeling like you get, just slowly rise up. And I was like, honestly, I was really emotional, and things were coming up. And then we was walking down the end of this tunnel. And when it got to my heart, it stopped. And they looked at me and all just like dissipated and evaporated into the air. And then it just took me straight back to being this like lonely child. And I was like wrenching. And then I started to I was crying and I was rocking. I was like a hyena, mate. I was like, like a vulnerable little child. And my mate said like, the shaman come over and he was like pulling, because I was like hunched over in a ball, was like pulling what he said he sees, like this mist out my back. And as he was pulling it out, it was like my life traumas were flashing by. And Mother Ayahuasca comes to you, but you don't really vividly see her descriptively. It's a presence, like a warm and motherly presence, as though she's looking over your shoulder or she's around you close. You feel it. And as he was pulling this out, my mate said he see this shaman then going, taking on my traumas and throwing it up into this bucket. Crazy. And then as he took it out, I just sat up and was like smiling, looking around, and everything was beautiful again. And it just pushed me through all of this, should we say, expectations that I needed to be somewhere else rather than where I was at.
And what sort of traumas is it taking you through? So
a lot of the time it was, it had taken me through the battles of steroids. The reason I'm doing steroids because I'm a tall, lean guy, and in school it was always that sort of stuff like, oh, you're lanky, rah, 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 which is it's jokes now because you are the way you are, and so you do things like that to get this physique. Took me through that and accept myself for who I am. My mum and dad split up when I was younger, so that was something that I went through. He'd moved to Copenhagen, so that was just pulled away from me when I was like 6. A traumatic situation. Having my little boy, I had him when I was 17 years old. God bless his soul, would never change him for the world, but at that time, it wasn't something that we was both ready for. Best thing that's ever happened to me since is a blessing. And then going through that complete phase of being lost, or, indirectly knowing where I needed to be, but just trying to escape it. But you feel it all. So when it's pulling you through, you go through it slowly as you felt back then, and you're like, oh no, and real brutal, but it's an emotional battle, and it real toughens you up.
So he pulls this mist out, he purges, you come around and you're feeling good.
Yeah.
Like, is that then all that weight that was on your shoulders from steroids, your parents breaking up, having a kid young, has that all just gone and you sort of don't get fazed by that whatsoever anymore? It's
not gone because it was a part of my life that molded me to who I was today. It's there. My perception's changed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm not lost in that I'm not lost in the trauma of trying to really find validation within myself or escape that, so to speak. I'm then accepting of that was a vital part of who I am now. It's just a perspective shift. That's all it is. And some people will go and work with the medicine, and what it does is it brings it all to the surface for you to be able to let go. So people will go, it all comes to the surface, and they still hold on. And that's why people...
That's what I do. I resist too much.
Yeah. It's because it's scary, bro. And I say to a lot of my clients, for me, life's about moment-to-moment choices which lead you on two paths or state of consciousnesses. So higher state of consciousness or lower, or path of the light and dark. Let's say, for argument's sake, path of the light and dark. The path of the dark is where you remain in your comfort zone. You don't want to take the risk and throw yourself into the unknown because it's safer there. You people please because you don't want confrontation. Mm-hmm. It's easier to not confront people for yourself. You fall back into them toxic habits of escape because the confrontation of that's easy. That's ultimately an easier path to go down, but it doesn't bring you any joy. It just creates this numb, dark cloud around you. Alternatively, we have the path of the light or the high state of consciousness, which you throw yourself out of your comfort zone continuously into the unknown, knowing that the unknown's scary, but what's more scary is staying where you are. You'd have heard that before. And knowing that also throwing yourself into the unknown, you gain clarity. Let's just say, it works. Amazing. It was always meant to be. Or it doesn't work. Amazing. You know where you've gone wrong and where you don't in the future. That's what the unknown brings us. You don't say yes to people and you set healthy boundaries and you're like, you're not great for me. I know that you don't bring me that joy. You haven't got best interest at heart. Because you're able to confront the situation, and the same with the toxic habits. That's harder. Mm-hmm. That's very difficult.
So you're getting all these downloads, but how do you then integrate it? Are you just trying to map that out in a journal? Do you map that out in your head? Is it just clarity?
You can do either. So you can journal it. A lot of people take a journal, they'll start doing it. For a lot of my downloads are just about when you open your heart to those, they just sit in you as though you already knew them anyway. This is all information that we all have within us. But sometimes we just put them blockages on or them gates on to not let it come through because it's uncomfortable. So when it's coming through to me, I'm like surrendering. Just surrendering. Like whatever comes, I'm open. Whether it's uncomfortable or not, whether it's parts of myself I don't want to face or not, I'm there. And I know it's going to help me grow. And when you do that, it just sits into you like this warm cloud and you're like, oh yeah. You know what I mean? All of this stuff, when it comes around, it's as though you already knew it and you just remembered. You're like, oh yeah. It's never new information.
Yeah. Are we talking when you're talking about downloads now? Do you get them totally sober as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when I try and sit and meditate or just have an hour to myself or whatever, you just said then about my mind just feels blank. I can't imagine anything. I've got a journal and I'm just writing down like everything that's going on in my life at the moment, just writing a few lines a day. And I even writ there saying I could remember a time when I was a kid when I could shut my eyes in bed and my own imagination was mad.
Yeah.
I could imagine anything I wanted to. Now I shut my eyes and if I could sit there for an hour with my eyes shut, I wouldn't be able to picture anything in my mind. And I tried doing mushrooms. We've tried DMT. DMT, obviously, you get an image straight away. But even with the mushrooms, if I start doing breath work, then I'll get it. But totally sober meditating, I cannot get any sort of picture in my mind whatsoever.
Yeah, but that's where you need to be. If we think about meditation, people think meditation is this destination of happiness, yeah? It's not. It's a process of being a witness, right? And ultimately, the space we're trying to obtain is a space to observe, a stillness, a calmness, a peace, yeah? Now, before, when we was younger and all this imagination was happening, it was just shedding away of selves or imaginations or things growing into this stillness, yeah? But also with all that heightened emotion and imagination was then the anxieties along with that. You will now maybe find as well that the anxiety is dissipated as well as the joys. Mm-hmm. It just comes into this stillness. And meditation, unlike almost anything we do, is like, say dancing or creating music. When someone's dancing, we're not like, oh my days, where are you aiming to get when dancing? They just are. When someone's on the piano, what are you trying to obtain and what's the destination? No, they're just doing it.
It's flow state almost, isn't it?
Absolutely flow state. Same with meditation. You're not aiming to get anywhere. You're trying to be just in a space of stillness because looking internally is dark, but also if we came from the darkness, that's the light. The perspective shifts and it dulls people down. And some people go, I'm done with it all now because I don't get all that mystical stuff that I used to get.
Yeah.
But then why quit now? Why not then sit into that, like really sit into that space and just go, all right, let's just see what comes then. And then as the deeper you get, things slowly will flicker through, but little clearer messages rather than a load at once. And what a great place to be. You're getting direction clearer and slower than a lot.
Mm-hmm. Before we change subjects there, just so I can grasp this.
Yeah.
Are you seeking a purpose? Are you seeking a mission? This is what I always try and get from when I'm using psychedelics. It's, am I doing the right shit? Mm-hmm. I get that you can go back and look at sort of traumas and these might unfold and come up. But the question that I've got there is, have you always like seeked a worthy mission, a purpose? Is that a...
Yeah, well, I think...
I always go into it for that. Like,
of
am I
course.
doing the right things?
Yes.
Not. I know sometimes I might have to revisit sort of the past, how I've treated people X, Y, and Z. But for me, it's like when I do journal, it's like I just hope that I'm doing the right things, if that makes sense.
Well, that is the interesting thing, and I think Western society pushes us into that ideology that we need the next goalpost, or when we get there, we'll be happy. A destination theory again. Will Smith has a funny way of saying it. He says that, my life's been militant and all I've needed to do is get that flag on that hill. No emotions, no feelings, the mission's set. And then he went, but when I'd get that flag on that hill, he'd get to that hill and there'd be another mountaintop. And he'd head straight to that next one and be like, when I'm there, so that's the pursuit again. But as you're in pursuit, like the seeking and searching is drifting you further away from where you're at right now. Where you're at right now is exactly where you need to be. Like we said before, living in this body, converse, this is as spiritual as it gets. Human beings connecting through vocally, So when you're doing it in future, and I mean, this is so subjective, so this isn't advice in any way, shape or form, but what I do is I literally just sit and whatever I feel, I don't try and aim anything. Whatever I feel, know that that's what's meant to be. Whatever I see, know that that's not what's meant to be. Because if we start to try and decipher it, we just confuse ourselves rather than thinking, let's let go of it all and understand that, this is all coming through. Yeah, no, correct. It's just a perspective change completely.
So I can grasp, you've got all this wisdom, all this knowledge. Where does this pursuit of this reality TV come into fruition then? Where does that overlap? So
it's funny, mate, because it doesn't really, but then it's such a paradox, and bear in mind I'm still completely learning it all as well, so don't take anything I say as gospel. That's just from my understanding and experience on my journey. Reality TV comes into the fact of, like I said before, I could be up in the Himalayas, I could be a Tibetan monk and have no contact with this, let's say, material reality, or in the Amazon jungle, same thing. But then I think either way, the novelty wears off a lot for humans. So then coming back into the physical is a nice balance. So a TV opportunity came up for me recently, Married at First Sight. And initially I was thinking, I don't really need to do it. But then, the paradigm was, why not then? Because it's a new experience. Whether it's going to suck me into an industry which I believe is quite dark anyway, I was more so thinking it's a new one under the belt. You know what I mean? I'm open to seeing, rather than dismissing it all because I feel I'm spiritual. I'll get stuck in.
Nice. Dissect the dark side there. What do you mean by that?
So it's what within the television industry,
reality TV mainstream.
Okay, I believe it can be a very dark industry, being experienced shows before, like Ellis himself, and understanding that it can be the same with the modelling industry as well. A lot of this fast-paced stuff has not a lot of depth. It's very on the surface for everybody else. So you can just be a number or a pawn in the game. Being able to sort of just follow their rhythm of what makes other people's enjoyment. So ultimately, within the society as well, people latch onto misery rather than joy externally. So they love...
Misery loves company.
Oh, amen, bro. They love it. You will get more people latched onto someone's misery on telly than joy. That is what it is. That's okay. And I've been a witness to that a lot of the time. So I know, especially on shows I've done, I've just been like, not conformed with that regimented rhythm, if that makes sense, because I'm true to myself. So if they're like, oh, you know, speak about so-and-so behind the back, I'll be like, no. And they're like...
Oh, so they're orchestrating it.
Of course, man. There's a narrative all the time because it's dramatized. It's entertainment, isn't it? Say this about so-and-so. I'll be like, no, I wouldn't say that anyway. So I'm not going to do it for the dramatization purposes. And they're like, well, but that's the narrative. I'm like, well, then I guess I don't follow the narrative. And then all of a sudden, you're against, you know what I mean? And whatever way they edit it or the way they portray you, that's fine. That's telly. That's what their aim was. I get that. But there's most definitely friction if you don't abide by the way that they conform.
100%. Back to celebs go dating.
Yeah.
When I were on a date with Fern, like we're having a conversation now, I'd just be normal. I'd be wanting to have a catch up, interested in their life, talk about what's going on, and we'd just be sitting there talking about a beef. We were on his dates talking about a beef, and the crew would come over and be like, right, Ellis, if we put like a song on, will you sing to Fern? Because I were in a bit of music.
Of course you are,
then.
yeah.
I'm not anymore, but I was like, no, I'm not singing a cappella on TV for you to control the edit. I'd have never lived that down.
What would you have sang?
Whatever they'd put on, bro. And I was just like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And obviously I've done the bath mate stuff with the YouTube cock pump stuff.
Yes.
So then they went away. Then they shout over like, Ellis, show Fern your YouTube channel. I'm like, whatever. Do you want to see my YouTube channel? They already know what it was. That's why they got us to date. Yeah. And she was like looking at him like, oh, I feel a bit awkward, but yeah, let's do it. Then she just looked at it and she was like, yeah, I'm not bothered about seeing that. Or like, me neither. And then because it was so boring, like I just wanted it to be a normal conversation. They wanted some drama.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, we'll just call it then after like 25 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, would you go on another day, expecting you to be like, oh yeah, I love her, like, and I was just like, if she wants.
In which normal day in any reality would your first sort of idea be like, this is me on YouTube with a cock pump on? You ain't doing it, are you? You ain't doing that. But maybe you do, I don't know.
It's been done before.
No, yeah, of course it has, mate. yeah, everyone's got the rhythm. No, I agree though, mate. And you know, you near enough feel like the spice of life, the natural spice of life, is just completely sucked out of it, and it becomes numbing. And that's why I think a lot of actors suffer with a lot of these dark periods, because any sort of lust and light that they want to bring to the surface is shunted out straight away. No, that done. And they're like, okay, I've got to play this role. Repetitive role. And, you know, it happens, it's television, and they're coming over to stop there. That don't involve. And all of a sudden you're just like, I can't be, I'm near enough. I am acting, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? Which I really struggled with. My internal anatomy is like, if I'm feeling something against something, I can't smile and put a face on. Like, I'm so like, I don't agree with it.
I think we found that a little bit with the podcast. We're like trying to find his feet with this. Do we play a character and lean into that? Or do we just try and be ourselves and have genuine conversation? It's like a battle to be had because, like you say, misery loves company. You almost want to put entertainment out there, and then you're moving away from why you got into podcasting, which was long form conversation and sit down with people and try and understand what's going on.
Yeah.
It's a hard game to play.
I completely agree, mate. And I feel like people can lose themselves again. Like you say, you know, I have a lot of friends as well that are like, we start something for like a genuine hobby within ourselves, because that does bring the joy, us having a laugh and conversing. But then a lot of audience can flow in. There can be like a huge flow of audience that wants something. But then if ultimately that gives you the finances, you're in the paradox and you're in the battle of, oh, okay, well, ultimately, if this is going to make us financially flexible, of course we want that.
Yeah.
We live in Western society, of course we want. But then you come further and further away from that. And then sometimes you're like, oh, we're not even doing it while we started now.
You're not doing the art then, are you? You're leaning into some sort of other narrative that you didn't even get into it for the first place.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, because it is art.
Yeah.
Completely art, yeah.
A lot of people don't see... I've watched a couple of the episodes of The Married at First Sight. I don't really get it, and I don't fully understand why people would go and marry someone who they meet that day. It confuses me.
Yeah.
But yeah, from outside looking in, you think that you're probably having an amazing experience when really you're just getting told what to do, right? You're living in this apartment with this person for this long and you're filming whenever we say you are.
Yeah.
When you get that message, that call, do you want to come Married at First Sight, what's convinced you to say yeah?
So when they messaged me, at first I was more so like, I don't really need, like I just said, I don't really need to right now. Things are going well, but I thought it's a new experience, like let's throw ourselves in. At the end of the day, and I'm a big believer in what's meant to be will be. And I have a lot of faith within the universe or God, whatever your preference, because it's guided me a lot in life. I've always thought, oh, why am I doing something? And then it's made sense in the future. So I did it. Yeah, long days of filming, long hours of filming, and it's a strange one because usually the process would be you get to know someone before being with them every day, whereas this is the reverse. So you're planted with this person and then you're together every day. So you actually don't know them initially, and then as it goes on, you start to get to know them. And I've been portrayed as an absolute villain. That's absolutely fine. You know, it's I guess every show needs a villain, really, don't they? And I think a lot of the time was because if you think about you're in this high pressure cooker situation, you're together all day, every day. Like you say, initially you don't know this person, so there's a lot of physical attributes at play. Now, when you're getting to know this person, if you've got a physical attraction, okay, great, you can work with that. You know, you're not slammed into this apartment with this person that there's nothing else. You've got something to work with. So you move with that. And then as you get to know that person, you know, you find out if you click or not. Like the person that I was matched with, she's a great girl. Do you know what I mean? Like I haven't got a bad word to say about her. She's such a warm and light soul. But we'd led different walks of life. You know, like I'd gone through certain life challenges and then she maybe had, and I think I'd had a different perspective of the world that she did. So we were sort of clashing heads at some points. Bear in mind as well, there's like hours and hours of filming and they're only showing snippets, like some real short snippets. Now, frustrations are really amplified in there. So you can be like, everything that comes from me, that's projected from me is trying to help. Okay, so I would always be trying to help and guide. That comes across patronizing and controlling to some people because it's as though I'm like, well, I've experienced more, so I can give you this wisdom where you haven't. But that's never how it's meaning to come across.
So they've taken control when you were coming from a perspective of teaching.
Yes,
and
mate.
they've just spanned that and ran with that.
100%. So I'm like, this situation was an episode the other night where it was like and bear in mind, I'm so unhappy whilst filming. Like I've already become aware that it's not for me. I've already become aware that I'm really unhappy and flat. And you can see it, I'm flat, I'm emotional.
So I understand there, sorry to interrupt again.
Not at all, mate, go on.
Are you aware during filming this is going to be portrayed a different way?
You don't know how it's going to be edited.
No idea.
No idea at all. So there was an episode the other night where it was in the commitment ceremony, and there was a part where it's flicked straight to me, and I'm flat as anything, and I've just turned around and said, "Well, if I allow Shona to do that, when will she ever learn?" The whole conversation was more about, because I'd been in the experience of television before, I was always saying to her, "I fell short here. I fell short. This might be where you don't. You've got someone here that's giving you a helping hand or a guide." So then it was more a case of if us as a couple can help each other, but we allow each other to fall short, then when are we ever going to grow together or learn? But, you know, they flicked it straight into the part where I've said that you're controlling, you're a narcissist, you're this. And I'm like, if you knew me personally, you would absolutely know that is never, ever. I have no desire to control anybody. I'm not going to benefit from that. And then, so obviously a lot of my short snippets of frustration, like around the table, where I've gone, "Oh, shut up, man." Yeah. A lot of people have been like, never tell anybody to shut up. But we was in a situation where it was in a game and everybody saying we're the worst couple. And I'm like, that's okay. People can have an opinion. Like, why would you ridicule? And she's like, but I just want everybody to see how much we love each other. Mm-hmm. There you go. Then you're not doing it for the purpose of just us. It's for external gratification. So, you know, it's a tricky one. I've got a lot of people against me right now, but, you know, it's at the end of the day, I just think misinterpretations.
Yeah, I get that. Like when she's saying, I just want other people to see that we love each other. And I get that everyone is constantly looking for external validation. That's probably what she knows she's on a TV show. She knows there's 5 or 6 other couples that are getting put in first place, second place. She unfortunately comes at the bottom. She's wanting to she might have a better connection than what everyone else sees. So she just wants them to see that.
Yeah.
Whereas I know what you're saying. You're like, but why do you care what they think when it's all between me and you?
Yeah, and that can really be amplified, you know, like, so you think all of this hate and all of this like malice that's coming my way. I mean, I'm a very open-minded guy, and I do believe that you can never judge somebody from a television program, you know, like, unless you've been in that situation and you've been around that environment, you don't know how much someone's been poked or prodded or felt like they're at the end of the tether. Do you know what I mean?
Zero context, is there?
Do you know what I mean? So then I'm like, you know, I'm just thinking, well, please have an open mind to not judge somebody based on an experiment, by the way, which is testing, very testing. So, really, really looking like the villain right now. And, but, you know, that's okay. Yeah, it was a crazy one, to be honest.
What are you thinking when you watch them back then? So
Oh,
these
it's difficult.
first time you watch it back, are you sat there just thinking, fuck?
It's difficult, mate. I mean, I've had to watch it with the missus for starters. So that's never a, you know what I mean?
When you first text me
What are
saying,
you
when you
thinking?
first text me saying I'm coming with a miss, I'm like,
You're just like this.
wait, is he still with this girl? Is he still married?
I've nearly been single a couple of times,
Yeah.
living back at the mum's house. But no, first and foremost, difficult to watch it with the missus because, you know, you don't want to see the person you love all over somebody else. I get that. It's a struggle for me to watch. Yeah. But secondly, it's a struggle for me to watch me in such a down place. You know, I'm watching these retaliations and I'm thinking, Brad, look how unhappy you are, man. Like, you're so unhappy. And I'm watching it and I'm thinking, I knew I was, but I was riding with it. Sorry. And riding with it to try and make it work. You know, people are like, well, why did you tell her you was falling in love with her? And I was like, I knew that I didn't have this deep-rooted connection, but being in this environment, you want to give it a go. You want to try. So I'm like really like, oh, all right, yeah, if there's a little ounce of something I can grasp at, I shouldn't have said it at all, but I was like, oh, I think I'm falling in love with you, to try and just kickstart or ignite this little bit of feeling that was there. I mean, was in the Maldives, bro. Like, if anything's going to kick off, it's going to be in the Maldives. And it just wasn't. And, you know, and I was really apologetic, like, I'm so sorry, I ain't got it. So then, yeah, as it sort of moves forward, yeah, it gets to the stage where I'm not enjoying myself anymore. I don't think this is for me, sort of thing. So, yeah, it got to a situation where I was like saying to the welfare and stuff, I don't really enjoy it anymore, you know, So it got to a situation where they was like, we think it's beneficial for your mental health and stuff that, you know, you leave. And we was like, yeah, we're going to get ourselves off, sort of thing. But yeah, it's definitely, it's difficult as well because of how manipulated the audience can be. You know, like I had like 80,000 followers before the show, let's say, and then there's another 15,000 that followed, and it's like this 15,000 that's come along are haters, right? But then the 80,000 knew me before, so you have to really decipher the love and hate within it. Do you know what I mean? And
how's the hate showing up? Just in the DMs and the comments, is that you're getting a feeling for it?
Yeah, DMs, requests, like people like, you're a pillock, mate, you're a control freak.
Mostly from females or males?
Yeah,
as well?
you get males as well, which was surprising to me, to be honest, because you think, are you actually consumed or have an emotional resistance to someone on the telly? I wouldn't watch a film and be like, I hate that guy.
Shit out. It's weird, isn't it? It's a weird dynamic.
Very weird, mate. And you know, you saw, but at the same time, like with having that faith that I've got, it's like God's paving the way right now. You know, and it's in these periods what are really elevating you, because people would crumble. People would be like, nah, that's me, I'm done. But I'm like feeding the fire, because I'm like, it's clearing out all those people that was never going to be my way anyway. And it's giving me all the people that were going to back me up. Great. It's cut me out a mission there. Do you know what I mean?
How long was the filming from the day you got married to the day you walked out?
So you're filming for around a couple of months, you know. We started January, I would say, and that's all the backstories, and then you've got the weddings, the Maldives, and then in the apartment. It's like a 3-4 month period of filming. Intense filming as well, you know, like you're filming all day, every day. You're up at it's difficult because you're up at, like, say, early hours filming, and then there's a lot of pausing. You'll know with telly, there's a lot of pausing, waiting to change around, and your momentum slips and slides and rises and drops and things like that. And anybody that's been in television or even actors themselves will know that it's a long drawn out thing. And then they only I've probably been aired right now only for about an hour. Little 3 or 4 minute clip hits on each episode. And there's another thing in it. You think, yeah, so you've seen an hour of someone's worst parts on the telly. You know, people are going to think what they're thinking. I think people have it embedded in them so deeply as well, the resistance thing. You know, even if I was to now come out and switch that around, you know, I'm going to do a little video on Thursday, just sort of like speaking my point, you know, saying like, try to have an open mind. And it's this sort of behavior from people that are hashtagging be kind, but then are pushing people to commit suicide. Do you know what I mean? You know, why would you hate on somebody when you don't know the story?
Yeah. And it's going to be tough for you now to sort of switch that back, so that try and show these people, I'm not like this, because it gets said all the time. If someone puts bad press out about somebody, let's say if I put in front of the newspaper, Keegan's just been done for pissing on kids in park.
Yeah.
And then
Big red.
And then that goes viral. Everyone in cast calls him a predator.
Predator, mate, yeah.
Big Red. And then he comes out and be like, that wasn't even me. I was at home at this time. I like proved it. Everyone, nobody even look at that because they just want to see this big bad thing, which you said at the start.
Yeah,
like people love shit going wrong.
I think people like a villain as well, mate. I think people want someone to point the finger at and this, that, and
yeah. My mate had a great one the other day. He went, listen, bro, we always remember the villains are remembered longer than the heroes. And I was thinking, do you know what, mate? That does actually sound relative, like, and it is, because people, like I said about people having this deeply embedded opinion upon me, once never met me. Some people are that regimented that they will take that to the end with them. And even if I'm to put out now, you know, this is who I am, you know, like you if you see my socials, I'm up at 6 a.m. meditating every morning, doing some deep reflection. I'm reading a lot of self-help and mind management or spirituality books. I'm with my son, I'm with my missus, I'm with my family. I'm a very family-orientated man. You'll have known just being a judge of character from seeing me today. I'm a warm-hearted guy. So all of that comes across on my Insta anyway. But people still, is a fake. That's all made up, even though I've been doing that for the past 9 years. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like you said, some people I won't change their opinions. That's fine. You're never going to get everyone to like you, are you? At least I know the people that are drawn to me will be the people that are like mine. It's deciphering it, innit? You
mentioned there the 3 months of filming. Do you feel like being out of your routine had a significant role in sort of your mindset as well?
100%, mate. You know, a lot of the tools or practices that I have in place keep me steady, you know? And I do think as you get a little bit older, things like that are important. Your morning routine for me is detrimental. So my morning routine, it'll be up at 6 straight away, splash my face, cold water, meditate, and literally just observe what's coming through. Whether it be negative, whether it be about my dreams, whether it be positive, whatever, just sitting and watching it, right? I'll get up, I'll have a coffee, I'll read a bit of my book, go on a run, and then I'll see my family. That is what's gratitude to me. That's life in a nutshell. If you used to look at life as a descriptive in a thesaurus, that's what it'd be for me. So I didn't have any of that. So once all of that's taken away, obviously I could meditate and stuff, but I'm still in this locked accommodation with someone that I've got friction with. I'm still in this environment that mate, you feel it. Energy's so clear. You feel it, don't you? If you're feeling a bit of darkness around somebody or a situation, you're tuned in with that.
100%. Yeah, in a normal life, you just leave, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You just, fuck this.
Yeah, I'm getting myself off. It's not for me.
Yeah.
But you're forced to it, so.
Are they paying you for this bit
I'm going to ask that. Is in a big bag in this?
No, not at all, mate. And the thing is, well, I'm always open to seizing opportunities within anything. It could be anything, which is something new that an opportunity to learn or to propel me into an industry or a movement I'm going to be in. And that's what I was looking at it as. Yeah, no, there was no payments or anything like that. But I was like, okay, so more people are going to be seeing me though. And when more people see me, great, because they're going to maybe direct more people to me.
Yeah. Build your personal brand.
Yeah. Some attention, good traffic.
Of course, man. Of course.
Is there anything that went on behind the scenes on Married at First Sight that didn't get shown on there that you think should have?
Yeah, because the thing is, bro, all that they've shown is me and Shona being affectionate and all over each other physically or arguing. Like, what an anticlimax that is, but what great telly that is as well. So, like, with that aside, we had some great laughs, we had some great conversations with people, you know, we was really connecting and having some deep chats with people like that. There was a lot more depth and substance than just that side. But if the narrative's wanting to be played of, if you jump too quickly into something, this is how hard it crashes, and you've got the experts there that, you know, give their guidance and things, that's all part of that narrative. So I would have liked them to have shown the other side.
Yeah.
You know,
what were the claims? The claims were controlling. What else were it?
Controlling, narcissistic freak, bully.
A bully.
As well, a bully. It was
strong word, that, isn't it?
Mate, extremely strong. And to say I've been bullied in my life in the past, you just sort of think, how easy is it for somebody to throw these words about? You know what I mean? Without actually understanding the true depth of it. It's like, but then I've had a flip. So the love that comes through is people will message me going, listen, I relate to everything you're saying. You're being real to you. No one else is being real. You know, you're not a narcissist. I've been with narcissists, and I can fully tell you, you're a joy to watch. Things like that. You are definitely not a bully. You're just being true to yourself in a toxic situation, and it's a real paradox of opinions, but it brings the shift back in because it rechecks you in. You know, sometimes you can really get lost within you sort of nearly look for the hate. It sucks you in, and you're like, wait, why am I?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We get that when we get comments on like our like vlogs. We'll do like a sparring vlog. It'll have like 300 comments. Everyone will be loving it.
Yeah.
Then you'll get one just griefing you, and I'm like, fuck's that guy.
You focus on the
Drawn to
negative.
it.
There could be a
100%.
million comments, and you see someone
You
call you a
only see the
numpty.
bad
You're
one.
like, fuck, call me a numpty. I am a numpty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm quitting.
Yeah. You identify yourself with that little, and it's shattering, isn't it? Because you think like, come on, we're more resilient than that.
I find it with my friends when we've had OnlyFans creators on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, should I be talking about this sort of stuff?
Why not,
Yeah, I probably agree more with Ellis now, but
Yeah.
like a couple of close allies or friends who I've got might say something to me in passing.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing X, Y, and this? Why are you talking about... And you're like... It makes you think, though, then, doesn't it, a little
Yeah.
bit? And does any of the comments that have been passed to you, did it make you think?
Of course it does, bro. And this is where I can't stress enough to people as well that don't ever feel like you're always failing if you're taking. They feel like they're taking steps back. So if so let's say I'm looking at my comments because let's be honest. If I put a picture up and I think it's a decent picture, I will have a look. Who doesn't like attention? If anybody turns around and go, no, I hate compliments, I'm thinking you're lying because they're great. So you look through and you're thinking, okay, and then you see a little bit of beef or a little bit of negative energy, and you're like, oh, let's see the replies. Now I don't, but initially I was looking at the replies, and people are having a conversation on my post about how I'm a bully or how I'm a narcissist, and I'm starting to think, well, there's a couple of people here that are thinking that, and you think, is this behavior being portrayed in that way? And you sort of go, maybe it has, but then also the world is such a vast place. Billions and billions of people are going to have different concepts of that. So I guess maybe the people that are triggered are the ones that have been like, yeah, that's a trigger for me. You are this. But then the people that aren't triggered aren't. And you sort of think, all right, no, you keep shifting yourself about. Yeah, okay, maybe it can come across like that, but I know my truth.
And the tough dynamic there for me trying to digest this is not a dig of people who watch this TV,
Yeah, never.
but who's giving the critique.
Exactly, mate.
Like in normal life, you probably wouldn't take critique off people who may be watching that. Like my missus watches crazy TV. She likes reality shows and true crime drama, stuff I'd never watch. But they get invested in it, and don't they? It's almost like they feel part of it, and they've got to then offer their input.
Of course,
to what's going on, and that's not always in normal life. You won't get that immediate feedback.
No, yeah, you're right, and I always say that people's let's just say their energy or their external projection is always a reflection of their internal representation. Like happy people don't hate, man. It's plain and simple. They don't. I don't know one person that's extremely happy within their life that's going round and finding beef with other people's because they're just so content within their bubble. Nothing else matters.
Same with success. If you see successful people, like you'll never see. Let's say if we were all millionaires now, you'd never see another millionaire really throwing shade on it. It'd be people below you that are doing it.
Yeah. And that's always a touchy one, isn't it? People below. Because people be like, well, what? So you're above? No, we're not saying that. We're just trying to put it in a concept of joy and hate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I would say joy comes above hate,
100%. I don't know how much I can actually speak about it because it's like going through like a prison thing at the moment. My ex-girlfriend, I split up with...
A prison? You're going to fucking serve time?
What?
You said prison like you're going to fucking do time?
No, I'm not doing time.
Oh, shit,
I press charges against my ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
And I'm waiting for that to go through CPS so that I can take her to court. But basically, I spent over a year in like a shocking relationship where my ex just didn't do anything, wouldn't leave the house, bad mental health, passed on to me massively, brought my life down massively. And then when it came to the end of the road, she ended up committing some crimes towards me, which I pressed charge. And as soon as she got arrested, as soon as she come out, she was just plastering things all over social media, making out as if I were controlling, abusive, manipulative, narcissistic. And then I even had her friends saying, "Oh, you're this." I'm like, "You've known that we've been in a relationship for 2 years."
Yeah.
How she never mentioned any of this to you before, but now as soon as it's switched and she's in trouble, now she's told you this new thing that I'm this person, and you're all believing it,
mate. 100%. It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
You think how I just really think people that I believe we didn't come here to fit in. Definitely came here to stand out. Each individual's beautiful in their own way, and they've got the power to like excel in that. But like people are so like shifted or drawn towards other people's way of thinking. Like I can imagine you are the same. You think for yourself. You have an opinion on something by your own view or experience with it, rather than if someone comes up to you and go, seeing Brad on there, he's an idiot. You're not instantly in your internal dialogue going to feel like I'm an idiot. You're going to be like, I appreciate that, but I'll make my own mind up.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's quite fascinating to see that modern society, we are a minority. The majority will just follow the next person's thought process.
Why do people, you say that like individuality and being yourself is the one, right? Why do people constantly just want to fit in then?
Yeah, so this is the thing, because it's the safety net. I go back to, again, the unknown being petrifying. Since we've been born, you know, we know that, and I don't know how deep this is to talk about, but the death is a guarantee. Yeah, that's one thing we're certain is going to happen to every single individual on earth. But we're shied away from that, whether it be school or people don't really want to talk about, or don't talk about that. It's scary, rather than embracing something because it's an unknown, right? So people feel like they want to fit in because it's safe, rather than throw themselves into that lonely unknown. Whereas it's like, okay, you get them certain individuals, maybe like ourselves, that would have experienced these traumas, or we've been hit head on with them, that's forced us into that unknown phase of, okay, we're actually safe in the unknown. In the unknown, we're learning. So when we've got that safety and that faith and trust, we're then okay with being separate from the crowd. A lot of people, in my opinion, have maybe not been faced with them challenges yet, forcing them into that, so they feel safer within the...
Fully agree with that.
Do you get that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Massively.
In terms of a question I've got there, wisdom, teacher, all these sort of things that I'm getting from you now.
I appreciate that.
When you look at a dynamic of a relationship, I know your missus here, so I've got to be careful what I say. Are you traditional in the fact of roles? Are you traditional in a way of how you should be with a female, etc.? Is that a...
Yeah, I've got no, of course. Great question.
Do you have sort of beliefs of tradition?
I'm more so very, because my mum and my dad are both very, very open-minded beings. Like that's, I feel like that's what sort of enabled me to really be so open all my life. So I'm never regimented in anything. I believe every single situation has the opportunity to be open in any way. Like right now, I can openly say my financial situation is at an all-time low. You know, I'm completely open with that, because what a great period to grow. You don't go any lower, do you? And me missus is the breadwinner.
Let's go.
Bread maker. She's the one that's obviously helping with that. She's the breadwinner in there. So, you know, ultimately it'd be like, well, no, the male provides and female does this, but it's a flip in our situation and we couldn't be happier. Do you know what I mean? Like I've never felt a connection with anybody like I have with Holly. So I'm very open to that, you know, very open to that it could go any way. Do you have any examples in mind that you was thinking of?
Well, just like what you said then, I feel like, but mine's probably taught behaviour. My dad died when I was young, so I looked to my granddad a lot.
Yeah.
And he's very traditional.
Yeah.
Looked after my grandma, treated her a certain way. And that was probably how I was.
Yeah.
I looked to that and probably idolised that. That's what I want to do. And that were a big driver for me.
Yeah.
That there's been periods in my life, though, where I've had previous girlfriends where I couldn't provide, and then I'd find self-destructive tendencies anyway, then to fucking finish it off anyway.
Of course, man.
Until I've got to a position in my life where I'm financially set through businesses and whatnot, where I like that idea of tradition. And I'm just trying to gauge a perception if that's come across in the show.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're more of a leader.
Okay, I get you.
That could come across of the fact that, he's manipulating, when in the fact, well, you need... In certain circumstances, you're going to have some people who give correct instruction or take charge.
You're dead right, mate. You're dead right. And I agree. And I do believe that, you know, if it's a threat to some people if you lead the way, or if you're so confident within your own anatomy that you know your path set. And I did get that sometimes within the show. Like I would be embedded within this belief system within myself, but also open to learning. That some people were sort of like, Brad thinks he knows everything. Like, Brad's so cocky, Brad's arrogant, Brad's this, Brad's that. And I'm like, listen, I'm not. Why would it threaten you that I'm so articulate with my terminology? You know, it could come across like you say as that. But no, maybe that is where that's been shown.
I think confidence can be a threat to some people, just that small strength that you believe in the way that you feel.
Yeah.
And that can come across, well, why do you think like that when I don't?
Exactly.
And I think that all manifests in the comments then.
Yeah.
Because, oh man, it triggers something inside that.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he does, therefore he's this, that and the other.
Hey, like you couldn't be any more right with that. And I believe there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. You know, Arrogance being that, you know, I know myself, but also there's no more to learn. Confidence being that I know myself, but I'm still a student in this whole thing. You know, that's the fine line, and I bump into so many people that know everything. And it's that funny saying, like a wise man says that, you know, the stupidest person is the one that knows it all. Yeah, because they're like, I've capped it, I've completed it, and it's like, well, little do you know, probably you're about to be tested. The biggest test in your life's right around the corner. So, yeah, completely agree with what you said there, man.
Talking about the financial situation, obviously you did the modelling ASOS, faded. I've got faded. Chet's hooked us up with some of these stuff. What's the goal right now? Are you working? Are you doing shoots?
Yeah, so I'm still modelling.
Yeah.
So, you know, with the modelling industry and things like that, it's very up and down, very hot and cold. So I'm still a model, but I'm a meditation practitioner. Yeah. So I did my qualification within meditation because I thought, I've wrote a book, mate, right? So when I was in this period, this just drying on period, I thought, my dad was like, why do you write a book? And I was like, I ain't got the time. My mum was like, you got nothing but time right now. And I was like, oh yeah, you're dead right. Let's write a book. So I got a load of A4 pieces of paper and just started writing down memories from as far back as I could imagine. And then as I got a load of memories, I thought, okay, now let's set these into chapters. And yeah, mate, I handwritten a book, 80,000 words, 250 pages, sort of like a mini biography, or would it be an autobiography? I'm not sure what the label would be for it. And it's called Brad Skelly, My Human Experience, right? And that's in the midst with the editor right now to be published. So that was where I was at with, right, this is going to boost me, but you get sidetracked, and I thought, I'll be my meditation practitioner. In the book, I mentioned, I aim to leave the world a more consciously connected place than when I arrived. So ultimately, that's what I want to do. Finances can take a low while you're doing that sometimes. When you're helping people and you're not thinking about yourself, there isn't a lot of fluidity within income, is there? See, I'm doing my meditation practice and I have like 70, 80 plus clients that are regulars, and I'm trying to build that, modeling back and forth. But right now I'm just I call it a transition period, mate, to be honest. You know, I'm leaving an old section behind and stepping into a new, but it can be quite dry. So yeah, quite dry whilst the next thing's on the horizon.
Do you put your own content out often? Do you have a channel where people can find some stuff?
So you, within the meditation practice?
Yeah, do you document sort of, you mentioned there the book and editor, are you fairly consistent with putting your own stuff out there?
So if it be, I'll be putting things on my stories, posts within captions, but it's on my feed on Instagram, let's say. There's videos that I've had done which sort of project my meditation practice. So you need a book online here, but I always have like a paragraph, like a relative paragraph, you know, like if people are trying to escape or run away and they want to tune in, come here and stuff like that. Now and again, but it's always a decipher from the modelling and the meditation, because if I'm trying to push myself out there as a model as well, I'm pushing that and then meditation. But it's a tricky one because not everyone's willing to face themselves, so it can be quite a slow mover, if that makes sense. But yeah, within the clients, mate, I do physical and online. So people that aren't within the local area that don't want to travel, I do an online session. It's funny because initially I've got my space, you know, we've got a new one now, moved into the new house. You know, a dark room with like candle lit and like two cushions opposite each other and really getting some deep work done. And the space is really a big aspect of meditation, I think. Stillness, no noise. So then when people were asking online, I was thinking, I don't know how this is going to work, but I'll try it. And I had a regular client, a good friend of mine, and we had a couple of sessions and she was like, wowza. And I thought, the power of energy can literally transfer anywhere. So yeah, I do online and physical. Try and push that as much as I can, mate.
We'll have to come and do a day in the life.
Mate, 100%.
Yeah, that'd be good.
100%.
We'll come and do that for sure.
Yeah.
Do you do regular psychedelics or anything like that sort of...
Yeah, so, well, I haven't for a while now because I was doing them when I thought there was needed a couple of months ago. Mushrooms, I absolutely love mushrooms, man. I feel like you can actually get as powerful experience on mushrooms that you can ayahuasca and DMT. You know, like I don't know if you've ever taken shrooms and you've sat and meditated on them, like you say with the breath work, and just how the projections just enhance and amplify, and it's like, wow. And you learn a lot, obviously, on shrooms, you know. I don't think dimethyltryptamine is something that needs to be taken regularly at all. I think you can have a blast on the DMT and get the lessons that's needed. For me, ultimately, DMT just gives you the lesson of creation. you know, and
Yeah.
that's not something that needs to be revisited all the time. So yeah, mushrooms. I haven't in a while because I'm at a place in life now where I'm really content.
Sober.
Yeah, no, I'm not sober.
You're
No,
not sober.
Smoke weed?
I've never smoked weed in my life.
And you?
How crazy is that? I was actually saying this the other day to a couple of mates. There was because obviously in my party days I'd taken like from ecstasy, MDMA, ketamine, cocaine, rah rah rah, rah. And there was like, you've never tried weed? No. One thing, and I probably won't now as well because I've got to 28 years old. And
I didn't smoke weed till I was 30. 35
so
now.
that's opened the doorway. Hasn't it?
Always time.
Yeah, always time.
As soon as we're talking about party drugs, do you remember the time where we were in Leeds partying?
I
in
know
the
what you're going to say.
apartment?
Yeah, bro.
And I were in a hole, and I was seeing that Irish girl, that Lauren, and
Yeah.
she was ringing me, and I just can't remember full call. And
I
you
answered your
brought me
phone.
around, and you're like, Ellis, your bird's on phone. I was like, hello.
Good
In a
night.
bad way.
It's funny. I always remember that with us. That was a strong night.
Yeah.
But mate, you know, and I believe it's all even narcotics are a lesson. They really tune you. You know what's mad? You can really get you out of your irrational thinking mind and just bring you into some space of like, you know. I used to have it with like ketamine when I was working in a beefer, mate, smashing it. Because I could function on it, you know, I could get up, I could have a bumper keza, I could go to the shop, I could eat, you know, I could speak to people and stuff. And I thought, this is absolutely, but then very dangerous because it completely sucked me away from when I come off that.
Yeah.
The beauty of life was then numbed.
Yeah.
So my beauty was in cat. Yeah. And I was like,
Did MCAT make its way to Grimsby?
oh, mate, MCAT was massive in Grimsby. It was huge, a tenner a gram for some plant fertilizer.
Carnage, wasn't
It was absolutely. That was actually the first drug I'd ever tried, ever. I remember I was 16 and he was flying around, and I was just like,
3 and 4
I
day
think it was
benders.
mine. I think it was mine as well. Actually, thinking
mate,
about it.
I was dead against all narco. I had a football under me. I have a Barcelona kit on. That was it. Playing footy all day, every day. You know, I was playing footy at a decent level when I was younger, and I wanted to be a football player. So everybody that was doing that, I was like, mate, you are dirty. You are disgusting. Until then, you get to that phase of them teenage years of coming to the end of year 11s, going into college, where house parties are massive out there, and how sick are house parties, man. Yeah. I've been to some ace house parties, and you go and you're obviously connecting with people, you know, you connecting with birds or lads, whatever your preference, doing your thing, finding what you feel, and then you're like, oh, sick, people are getting boozy, and you're like, oh, sweet, this is cool as. And it adds to the mirage of it, doesn't it? So when someone's like, oh, do you want a little bit? And you're thinking, I was like, no. And then everyone was doing it, and I was like, I am actually the odd one out for not doing it here.
Yeah, and you see them having so much fun and
Yeah.
having deep conversations, and you're like, I look like a weirdo. Give me some of that.
I look like the weirdo because
Yeah.
I'm not being the weirdo.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah,
You seem
good
to have
one.
your wits about you there. So 16, 17, taking these, you know, these harsh drugs,
Yeah.
whether it be ketamine, cocaine, MCAT. Think that has any detrimental effect long term for the brain?
Yeah,
Must
100.
have money.
100. Well, I always say, you know, like some people experience life young. You know what I mean? Like you get thrown this curveball of whether it's attention or whether it's trauma or whatever, where it's a lot of high pressure on you. And you start to then turn to booze or, you know, and so easily accessible, man, whether it be a fag or a beer and I looked older and hung around with older people when I was younger. Hitting all that young, some people probably don't do that till 23, 24, 25 maybe. So you've experienced all this stuff, and then what I learned from it was that you then try and sort of scratch at them previous experiences later on in life, which brings you the misery. So, you know, I'd got to a point like a couple of months ago, still doing the self-work, and I'd said to a client, they were like, I just don't get that lust that I used to get. And I was like, okay, so think about from the ages of maybe 16 to 23, for argument's sake, you hit the majority of emotional heights, the pinnacles, whether it be the first time taking drugs, first time making love, the first alcoholic beverage, food, learning, whatever, like burst you get. Traveling, mate. You've done it for the first time, so your dopamine kick is exceeding. Do you know what I mean? You'll never get that height again because you don't get it like you do the first time. So as people go on through life, things numb down, and they forget to realise that as you get older, it's about appreciating the smaller things and understanding that moulded you. And people go, it's just not the same. Of course it's not. And I learned that because I was trying to grasp them heights I used to get, and I was never getting them. And I was like, actually, no, that was a period where I needed to experience life then, but it's given me the wisdom to move forward in earlier stages than other people.
What, so there you've almost got to try and somewhat master the mundane tasks
Of course
and find happiness in that.
mate.
Coffee in the morning, walking your dog.
Yeah.
You don't always have to be making money or whatever some higher Everest climb. Just
That's it. You've hit the
focus
nail
on the
on
basics.
Yeah, my mate says get comfortable within the casual. So the things that you think are mundane are actually the most beautiful things that you've been blessed with. And we say this as well. Now, I live for the mornings, man. Like I'll still have a party, of course, because I'm still enjoying life. But I live for the mornings the majority of the time. Waking up with a fresh head and having a coffee, just literally getting a breath of fresh air, going on a run. I don't think you can get any more in the body than that. Mm-hmm. Or for yourselves, if you're sparring, up early sparring, if you've ever done it. I know you probably will have done. Or exercise. Things that you're like, then tuning into that, reading a book or having a coffee. Or, do you know, even watching telly sometimes, and I know it sounds so like, well, you're not doing anything and you're not progressing, but how do you know that that's not you progressing? Completely flip it on its head sometimes. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Because you could get lost then, depending on who you're listening to or you're taking guidance from. If they're solely focused on like an Andrew Tate philosophy, which is make all this money and da-da-da-da, who's to say that's even the right way? I'm not saying it's not.
No, of course.
There's probably a balance to be found and the truth's probably in the middle somewhere, but people are probably seeking some form of direction.
Yeah.
That's all they know then.
Yeah.
That's probably where I got a little bit lost, like naive from a local town. Got put in front of a business person who's like, I'm making X amount of money. I'm like, that's what I want. That's what I need. That's what I need to do. So it's
no, I agree.
Where you're taking your counsel from is difficult sometimes because most people are almost rudderless anyway. So it's hard to take correct direction.
Yeah, no,
especially from a small town.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I have a lot of analogies with people with Andrew Tate and things like that. And, you know, some of the things I'm locked in with and I'm like, yeah, you know, he's got a point, like for the fact of like, get up and do your stuff whether you feel like doing it or not. You're never going to always feel like getting up and meditating or going on that run or going to it. But with duty of making yourself feel great, you do that. You move the body. Movement is medicine. However, on the flip side, that can be a very unhealthy mentality. You know, I look at people like him and he doesn't really look happy to me, if I'm going to be completely honest. Great guy, very inspirational. And then you see these people that are frantically pushing and pushing and pushing. It's because they can't sit still. Because if they sit still, they've got to face all that noise internally. And I've got a lot of friends that are the same. They're like, it freaks me out to not be busy. I need to be working, making money. And I'm like, yeah, but you'll burn yourself out, make yourself sick. Let's get you in a still space. No. They get in a still space, they break down because they haven't been still in like 5 years.
One of the most successful people I know around here, I took him to a float tank.
Yeah.
And he'd never done any, he would just go. Traditional business owner, makes a lot of money. And in float tank, he had like a real nice experience.
Yeah, amazing.
He never really could truly explain it to me. It was Russ. But I could see it had done something to him in that float tank way.
Brilliant.
He'd had to be by himself for 90 minutes, just
being.
A disconnection from his body.
Yeah.
Making him aware that he's not just the vessel, it's his mind as well, his soul, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And that was nice.
Am I okay to ask you 2 questions on it, or is it a back and forth?
Let's go.
So if you start with Ellis, what's yours perception within obviously beliefs, religion, spirituality, the universe and things like that? Are you tuned in, do you believe, or are you just a more of a physical aspect kind of?
I really want to believe.
Yeah.
Like you say, meditating it's believing it's going on, and I've probably been doing it for about 6 or 7 months now. And like I said, when I sit and meditate sober in my house, I don't get much from it.
Yeah.
And I think it's because you're supposed to, if a thought comes in, acknowledge it, bounce it away. I sometimes just get caught up in them fucking distractions and I really struggle to do it. But if I have mushrooms or if I have a bit of a smoke, it does help a lot.
Yeah.
When you say then about mushrooms heightening everything and your breath work and all that sort of stuff, when I was in Mexico this year, I had Achilles tendonitis.
Right.
And I was laid on a sun lounge with some headphones in with my missus in a proper mint view. I had half a chocolate, you know, the like 0.5 gram chocolate.
Do I.
And I was just doing breath work and I was just imagining that I was just sending like healing energy down to my Achilles and I didn't have a tendonitis after that.
It's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, so I believe in it in that way.
Yeah. No, fair, yeah.
I already know what your answer is going to be.
My default's to do, and
Yeah.
I've got to slow that down. My default's just to go until I burn out.
Yeah.
I've been through that probably 10 years now. Sprint and recover has been my default sort of way of living.
Yeah.
Go hard on something. If you burn out, recover a little bit, then just go again.
Yeah, I mean, but
and then
it works.
I've had to. It works. It's worked for me.
Yeah.
And then I've had to sort of find this spiritual side just to. It comes to a point there for me where it's like, when does this end?
Yeah.
And you don't want that feeling. I was like at 30 feeling like that. I turned 30, it was like a big thing for me. That was like,
Yeah.
fuck me, I'm getting old.
Yeah, you're
have
not.
I, have I even achieved anything other than finances or a little bit of success? And then you're almost forced to go inward then.
Yeah, you are.
Because what's this all about?
Yeah.
I think that's when you can fall into religion, spiritual side, or whatever you're doing there to sort of, the fact of the matter is that I feel, this is, if we're telling the truth, you don't want to feel like you've wasted your time.
Of course.
Because if you said it on the pod already that, eventually you're going to die, as morbid as that might be, then I don't want to waste the time.
Yeah.
So I'm always in a state of, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
And inward will weed for me.
Well, mate, obviously.
Weed slowed me down enough to be able to at least just be present with Mrs. on a night. Because I used to work from like 7 till fucking, I'd be out of the house. I did network marketing, me.
Yes,
So
bro.
all way, our country, Europe, America.
Yeah.
Go, learning all this skill set. And you're just like, what's...
Yeah.
You get to 50, 60, I'm fucking, what's the point anyway?
Yeah, well, it's crazy, isn't it, that you say that? Because I feel like what you've said you've obtained is what people aspire to obtain. When you're like, oh, it's just finances.
We said we had a financial goal. We've both had it in our head.
Yeah.
Of a number that you want to hit, you hit, and that don't bring happiness.
Dan Bulzarian is the guy, and I don't really follow him, but I see a video of him the other day. It came across my news feed. And he was like, I have literally surpassed every material, financial goal you could ever imagine, had everything money can buy, and I'm still not happy. And someone, well, what does make you happy? And he went, surfing with my friends in the morning. And there was like, what? And all of these people that were obtaining to get where he had got, their life had just come crashing down because all of this goal and pursuit was just suddenly worthless. And I thought, but like say, it is true. And I do think as well, you have to just shift between the both and appreciate the both. Like you say, appreciate the
And
sprint.
there, what do you think to this? Like, if money wasn't in existence,
Yeah.
so you were in pursuit of the pound,
Yeah.
you'd live your life differently.
Mate, I always say this: Amazonians, or people, or the Tibetans, and people that don't really have that. A lot of people say that they're poor and they don't have the riches, but ultimately they have everything they need. They're growing their own fruit, their own food. They're in tune. Community with nature, water, animals, that is a human being's nature. Ultimately you could say we couldn't be further away.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I used to watch and think about tribesmen, and I used to this were about 9 years old, and I used to think, oh, I'd love to go into a forest and bring a tribe and show them how amazing this world is, when they'd probably fucking see I would be like, get me back to fucking Amazon right now.
He just wants to go and walk about naked and all.
No, innit? That's it,
what he wants to do.
100%.
Who's fucking alpha? And he's just like,
I love that.
the chief.
Yeah.
What were it like having a kid so young for you?
I wonder where that voice was.
Sorry,
that. Oh my day! I see
Big
you
Red.
two smiling, and I was like, "Where is this voice?"
Big
God.
Red always comes with a good question.
Right, come on then, bro.
How were it having a kid so young, and obviously all this going on, partying, modelling, stuff like that? How hard were it to get grips with that?
Massive, mate. I believe anybody that's a parent understands this, especially somebody that's been a parent from a young age.
I had a kid at 18.
You had a kid at 18, so you completely understand, and especially because at that stage in life, you're still not fully aware.
I'm still winging it now.
Bro, same, but I feel like that's where the deeper connection with the child is, because the child grows with you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and obviously there's no discrimination to whatever age you have a child, but when people have completely sort of settled for the fact that they have to sacrifice all this other individual journey, and they can just,
It's like that. I'm glad I've sacrificed that now, because I look back at my mates now and I think I'm glad I'm doing that.
Bro, 100%. And you feel like the people that are ready for children, it's as though they've done their life and then they can put their full attention in the child. But then there's only so much without mollycoddling the child. The child needs to experience life like you did. And do you not think a lot of the biggest lessons that you learned were through winging it?
I think that's what it was like. You want him to experience the things that you had, and it was like my mum and dad have always been together.
Right.
But me and my ex, and I wanted him to experience the mum and dad being together and us being together, but I knew deep down that it wasn't the best thing for him.
Oh, 100%, bro. You feel like my little boy Keegan, he's 9 now. He's an angry kid, but he's the most loving boy going. He gets all this attention, and me and his mum we're strict but lovable parents. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't just continuously give because it's like, well, then he won't have that attribute within him to go and try and actually work for himself and do his thing, which I think is important at a young age. And, you know, even him going through struggles, I say, like, Keegs, you will struggle. Like, you will get mad. You have to feel it all. And he's like, why do I have to? And I'm like, trust me, that's going to really mold who you are. If you've experienced and understood you're allowed to feel, this is what I say when I say you're allowed to feel, it's like allowing the body to do its thing. What a massive lesson.
Definitely.
It's powerful, that, because if you're not getting that insight, like my upbringing were opposite.
Yeah.
Anything happened traumatic or wrong, it were like, just, we don't talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I've just carried that through life of being sort of callous to the fact that I'm strong enough to deal with it.
Yeah.
The correct way is probably like that, though, to... At least you've got the insight then.
Yeah.
I never had that insight.
Well, no, of course. And as open as my mum and dad was, still for somebody to say it's okay to feel sad, it's okay to feel despair, you're going to go through a trauma, you know, you're going to be at the bottom. When you get to that, then you all of a sudden think, oh, nothing's really that bad then. I'm still alive in this body. I'm breathing. I've got hot water. I've got a loving family, if you have. And then it brings you into that gratitude again.
It's crazy that you say all this, because I was thinking of it the other day. I was thinking I really struggle to show and control my emotions.
Yeah.
I'll talk about this now. I've got a friend called Warren, and we spoke about him, his boxing in a couple of months on November. I didn't badmouth him, but Josh asked me, how do you think he's going to get on against Jack Fincham, is it, from Love Island? He's boxing against.
Oh, yeah.
So just off the top of my head, didn't think about offending my friend whatsoever. I said, to be fair, if Warren doesn't learn fast and do all this, he's going to struggle in the fight. When really I could have said, I'm going to back Warren, he's training hard, like Jackie's a hard fight, but I'm still backing Warren. I could have done that, but I just didn't. No. I posted it. Warren got offended by it and like said, what's this about? You've made me look like a dickhead and that. So I said, well, I'll have a conversation on phone, and I'm never good at conversations, especially when it's like that. So I'm on phone to him and he's like telling me stuff and I'm just like, yeah, but why are you bothered about that? I'm just giving my honest opinion. Like, I'm just so narrow-minded. And he's like, no, but you could do this and it would have made me feel better. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, I just struggle to, one, show the emotion and feel it. Yeah. Whereas now that you're talking about saying to your son, like, you need to feel this to experience it as a kid. And I'm sure you're the same, and you're probably the same, Keegan. As a kid, if I showed any emotion, I'd just either get a slap on arse off my dad, or I'd get pissed stuck out at me for crying. Yeah. And I just run away from it. Yeah. Now I even notice it. Now I still, when you raise your voice to somebody, I get a bit teary and I start getting too emotional, like even when it's not needed. And I'm like, I'm not soft in any way, shape or form. But as a kid, if I cried as a kid, I'd be seen as soft. So now I can't control it whatsoever. So if I get too mad or too upset, I just fucking burst out crying.
Yeah. The thing is, though, bro, it's like the paradox of a lot of my clients come to me and go, I'm going to be strong, I'm not going to get upset. And I'm like, well, that's you running away. Like, what do you mean? And I'm like, strength is to feel. You know, to heal, you need to feel everything. Doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're strong because you're not afraid to put yourself head first into yourself. And I know that sounds like a strange way of explaining it, but it does. Like, and this is what Keegan's like. He says, for instance, we had a conversation the other day, which was funny. I'll speak to Hol about this. I'm talking about Avatar, yeah? And I'm like, and he's like, Dad, the blue people, they're not real. And I'm like, how do you know? Like, have you traveled this galaxy? And he's like, no, I ain't seen them. And I'm like, so you only believe what you see? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, what about the wind? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, do you know it's there? He's like, well, yeah, look, it's blowing. I went, how do you know it's there? Because I feel it. I said, so it shifts. So what you feel is real, not what you see. And he goes, oh, yeah. And I'm going to see, like, feelings is the most realist direction you will ever get in your entire life. You can see, like, a mirage of acts of what's going on in front of you and be like, I feel so differently to how that's being portrayed. So always go on how you feel. And they say you've got instincts always right. So, but know that that's okay. And that is actually a strength, because then when life throws you these tests, you're well equipped. You're like, I felt it all. And I know it's okay to feel it all. Rather than, like you say, for it to come and shock you and you're like, shit, I don't know if this is easy ground. You know what I mean? Yeah,
but are you being critiqued then for just speaking your truth, even if it's a friend? So, like, if I were going on an endeavour that I felt, let's just say you felt I was ill-equipped for. Let's say I went into a fight on 5 weeks' notice for me, or whatever I did. As a friend, though, I do feel you should be at least... Maybe it's how you said it if we look back at it, but surely you must be able to offer some form of critique. Maybe not doing it on a podcast.
Yeah.
Is probably
I think that one of the things that, with the fact that I said it, but he then said to me like, "Oh, if you'd have come to me and said, look, bro, you've got a hard fight. I think you need to train." But then he said, which he did, because I did it before the podcast. I rung him 5 days up, and he said, "Oh, I'm fighting these guys." And I said to him, "Listen, they're no fucking idiots. These boys. You're gonna have to train. They're gonna be a tough fight." And I was straight up with him, which I then said on the podcast. But he was like, "No, but you didn't need to say Warren's gonna struggle. Like, you could have just said to me, you are gonna struggle, but then say to the crowd watching." And I know that's not me really being real. I just said what I believe to be fucking straight off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I saw where it was coming from, and I know what you're saying. Like,
like there, Lot Lane, we're going to play Cassett Challenge Cup. He's not going to say to me, like, you're going to score 5 tries and fucking just dominate and win every collision. And
no, I'd say, fucking hell, you're going to get pumped here unless you put
a
massive pass on.
That's just the truth. But I don't want to say it's the truth for Warren there, but I think where we probably went wrong there in hindsight is it should have been put to Warren directly and not
well, it wasn't even that, because I did put it to Warren. I think it was the fact that it could have. It was probably a mixture of things, but maybe my choice of words with unless he fucking learns quicker than anybody else, he's going to struggle.
But then don't you think that's a tricky one of how broad it is, because then it's how people receive things based on their internal dialogue.
That's what I said to him.
We're trying to promote the fight as well.
Exactly.
People who listen to ours are working class people, a little bit of an older demographic, and they're going to know who Warren Spencer is.
Yeah, and they're all into fighting.
They may tune in to watch him fight.
Of
Jack
course.
Fincher.
Yeah.
Whereas his crowd there, no offense, is probably a little bit younger sometimes.
Yeah.
So you're getting opened up to a fighting audience, a little bit older, who might be invested in the fight. Yeah. That's
and I said to him as well when he was like offended by it, I went, what you've watched there, don't think about it with your ego first. Like, what you on about ego? And I'm like, no,
there you go.
I'm not saying you've got a massive ego. I'm just saying the first thing that's acknowledged in this video is your ego.
And sorry, bro, did I interrupt you?
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if you've ever read The Chimp Paradox.
I have.
Mate,
You reading it as well now.
Yeah, so
This chimp is strong.
Yeah, well, that's it. The unbelievable part about the limbic system being the central cortex, which information passes through first, which is the emotional cortex as well, before passing on to the frontal lobe. That was massive for me, because they call the limbic system the chimp and the emotion is the chimp. So you've got an option then. Like, information comes through, you receive it emotionally first, immediately.
That's funny to watch with kids as well.
Mate, innit?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You've received it emotionally first, and then you go, right, there's already a battle. You're already fighting a losing battle. I've got the option to just sit with it for a second or two, because that is all it'll take to diffuse it, and pass it on to the logical part of the brain, the frontal lobe, or I'll just act straight away. I mean, that's where the ego comes in. And even when you've said, don't think about it with the ego, and he's gone, I'm not, there again.
That
the
new
ego
bit of information just going straight back to chimp brain again before it's even come forward.
Yeah,
it's,
man.
It's like a losing battle. And bro, I'm not going to be a critic here, because I'm the worst person for using my chimp brain. I have worked on it a lot this year, but like road rage, fights, arguments, everything, girlfriends, I've always fucking been a chimp.
Bro, me as much as mate, as much as, you know, I'll portray this wisdom and knowledge of the piece. I'm very aware of mine, mate. On the show, I react irrationally because I'm feeling frustrated and suffocated. And at the time, I feel like sometimes that's the only way I can get the message across. Because some people need that nudge sometimes, don't they?
100%. And sometimes when that camera's on you, I bet you ain't got that 2 minutes, have you? Just to let it process and then think about it, like with the human side.
Yeah. So when it comes through, if I'm on camera and I just go, everyone's going to be like, what's he doing? Yeah. So I'm thinking, what's the quickest logical way I can act with my chimp? And it can be healthy sometimes because it's your defensive and it protects you. Your ego does protect you sometimes from danger. Do you know what I mean? That's the chimp's job.
Is it a big no-no now to tell people to shut up then? Is this a big no-no to say it?
Do you know what, though? This is the thing. So you've either got the way that I brought that across was in a situation of somebody going, but I just want people to see it. I just want people. And I'm like, oh, my days, shut up, man. As opposed to going, shut your fucking mouth. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference. 100%. There's no malice towards it at all, which some people direct it that way. Mine was just a frustration of like, listen to what I'm saying, if that makes sense.
100%. Keegan, have you got any more questions?
Would you say you fell in love on show?
No, bro. No. Like, this is what I mean. It was most definitely a lust. And, you know, as aware of love as I am, I do believe them heightened lustful experiences can portray certain of the same aspects or factors as love. You're there and there's all this heightened emotion and you're like, oh, I'm saying this stuff, you know, and like you say, you're really trying to make something work in that enclosed thing because it's not the real world. On the outside, straight away, when I'd have known they want them connections, I'd have gone, it's not for me. Yeah. That's fine. And I did say that on the show. I'm like, our energies are just, they don't align. And on the outside, I'd have left it. And people really struggling to believe that. So no. Like
Strong emotion though, lust, isn't it?
bro, do you know what? Like lust is easy. Yeah, I believe lust is easy, but love's the commitment. Like, and it is a commitment. Love is where when the lust is died out, you're still like solely set on the journey with that partner in the long game. Like I say to Holly all the time as well, like the connection's completely different where I see that long-term thing. I'm not completely lost in this short-term thing. I'm actually like quite settled on where I see it going, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's almost like their commitment and protection then, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's a different to lust, just wanting to jump on her every 10 seconds.
And I feel like love, you've got to work on it every day. If you wake up one day and I'm not going to work on love today, whereas lust, you can wake up and like, if you're on it, you're still going to be there.
Yeah.
But same with relationships. If one person stops putting that input in, that you both fuck.
100%. Yeah, you quit, don't you?
Yeah, 100%.
And how easy is that? You know, you're waking up and going, today I don't feel like it. It's not meant to be. Yeah. Rather than going, no, today's just a day.
Yeah.
Tomorrow will be different.
100%.
The question I had before we get off, did you ever cross paths with Alex Cannon?
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine, Cannon.
Is he?
Yeah, mate, class guy. When I first started modelling, me and Cannon went to LA twice with Ross and Scott with the Control Club. Unbelievable experience. I've had some great experience. Very, very wise guy.
Very wise.
Very, very much also a guy that's been presented with life's tests young, which is developed a very strong head on his shoulders. You know, with him losing his mum and stuff, he's just completely...
You were a class act. I did a little bit of business with Alex, got to be in his company a fair bit.
Yeah.
He used to come and stay at mine like quite a lot. And
yeah.
He would have on the come up then. So I think he was Jim King, and then he's gone and evolved his own businesses, and he's just gone from strength to strength. So it's good to see.
Yeah, and you know, very, very aspirational. I love the fact that it's just the realness within it. Like people that are successful, but also talk about the flaws of success is a big thing for me. You know, I'm not keen on when people say success is this rainbow of sunshine, and it's like, no, not about the drooling hard misery of success. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Do you have much? Last question.
No,
talk a bit
go
about business now. This Represent brand. Do you know the owner there?
So George and Mike Heaton own that. I don't know them personally. No,
they seem to have done exceedingly well there.
Yeah, but I mean as well, do you not think that... I mean, I've had 2 clothing brands myself. I had an EQ Studios when I was at ASOS, which was doing great. Created that mainly for the taller gentleman like ourselves that has struggles with... I would used to buy a hoodie, and I buy a large and the sleeves would be so half-mass, but the body would fit. And then I buy an extra large and the body would be so wide, but the sleeves would fit. And I'd just be like, why is this such like a difficulty? So I created the drop shoulder with the elasticated arms and then the tight cuff at the waist and the wrist to make people feel comfortable within what they're wearing, but also have that fashion sense. So I had that, and then I had that with my ex-partner. When we separated, we liquidated that, and then I moved on to Eluda Studios, which was a recent one I'd had. Got the quality of the fabric, everything absolutely sweet. And, you know, it's like you feel like at that period of time... when they'd created that, it wasn't as much of a niche that everybody's doing, I guess. It obviously was, people did have them. But I feel like now, such a difficulty to create a clothing brand and do something somebody else hasn't done and take someone's clientele or custom. Everybody's doing something. It's like, what makes you different? Do you know?
Is it a challenging industry, that?
Very. People think, so when I had my clothing brands, it was like... I was the designer, so I would design it. I would then communicate with the manufacturers, get the quality of the fabrics, the sizes, everything. I would sort the product itself. But then you've got the web development, the web design, like you know yourself, and then you've got the marketing on top of that. And then on top of that, you've got to then be doing the packing. And
you need a team, don't you?
You need a team, bro. And this is why when me and my partner from Eluda separated on the company, I just thought once I've got rid of all the stock, I'm not doing it again, because you also lose the passion for it massively, and it just dulls that fire out, mate. You need a team.
100%.
I'm happy with that, boys.
Mate. Thank you very much for coming, especially on your birthday, brother.
My pleasure.
I will say one thing. I when you'd set this up, I looked at this. My chimp looked at this.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy we sat down.
I
and
appreciate
this chat
that,
today,
man.
mate. So
yeah,
I've sort of come into this with an understanding of. I'm going off what he's told me.
Well, you would.
Which wasn't negative,
No,
but I'm
you
just sort
would.
of going off that, and I'm very impressed.
Yeah, thank you, man.